Travel nursing can bring you to places you've never been before. Tell us your story.
Hi, it's Rita at the Travel Nurse Channel, and what is there's banners all over here, so I don't know how well you're seeing me. Let's get that straightened out a little bit. Yeah, hi, it's Wednesday, and I missed you. I was not here the past 2 Tuesdays, and but I am here today, and I will be here every week, usually on Tuesdays at 10 in the morning, between 10 and 11 Pacific Standard Time, but a little off this week. Did a little traveling, and that was interesting. It wasn't travel nursing. It was traveling to a couple of important dates that I made with friends and family. So that was quite wonderful. Okay, so traveling, yeah, just traveling in general. It's probably a little more daunting, but I have to say I felt pretty safe, even though some of the systems that we're using in our communities, as far as entering communities, you know, whether it's a rehab community, a hospital, a memory care community, a clinic, you are asked questions. Have you been exposed? I mean, you know, it is still kind of a, what is the word? Honesty system? What do you call that? Honor system, not an honesty system. An honor system is an honesty system, but it's an honor system. When I confirmed my flight, I confirmed that I had been vaccinated, that I hadn't been exposed to my knowledge to anybody with COVID, and that I didn't feel sick or have a fever or cough and so forth. So I did sign in and get my boarding pass prior to going to the airport. But once you hit the airport, it's still a fairly crowded place, depending on what town you're in. I'm in a pretty big town in San Diego, and I was going to a pretty big town back east. So that surprised me. There was no monitoring of people entering the airport. And then same thing, entering the plane. And no 6 feet apart, no 3 feet apart, seats were full. So that's interesting. I probably would have fared better had I had traveled first class or business class. They looked a little bit more spaced and certainly more comfortable. But that's not how I roll. I'm just your average Joe or your average Jill. And so that was interesting. What I also noticed is nobody was coughing. Everybody kept their mask on except when they were having a sip or a bite of something. And the food was prearranged. So if you decided on a 5 or 6 hour flight that you wanted to eat, you needed to plan ahead. Either bring your food or have it ordered ahead. So they really weren't carrying a lot of food, probably because they're cleaning everything out between flights. The other significant thing on the flight I was on, it was an Alaska airline flight, is that in times past when I've traveled pre-COVID, there were maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe 5 max people that waited till everybody disembarked the plane and then came in and cleaned. I want to say pretty haphazardly. One time there was a dirty little trash bag, you know, it didn't have vomit in it, thank God, but there was a dirty trash bag in front of my seat. So what I noticed was that a team of probably 12 or more were entering the plane as the plane was disembarking and starting at the first seat and vacuuming and cleaning. And it was just like a really interesting to see that much cleaning going on between flights. So that made me happy. Anyway, I feel great. The people I saw were in pretty good shape. One friend was a post-op and is doing as well as can be expected, and was really wonderful. But I did miss you, and I wonder what you're all thinking of. Before I left, we were talking about nurse grads and some of what it takes to become a nurse in 2021. I have written and spoken to a few leaders at various colleges here in Southern California that educate and train nurses. So I hope to hear back and have some great guests for you coming up. But today, May 12th, I thought let's just talk about what is available to you. So back in the day, when I was studying to be an RN in the 70s, in the 1970s, we pretty much were going to, and it wasn't scrubs back then. It didn't take long before scrubs came in, but for the first several years, we were in whites, and in some cases still wearing nursing hats and nursing bonnets. They were a nuisance. They would catch on the curtains, in our patient cubicles, and they were silly things, but they were sort of a badge of honor too, because the various shapes, kind of like the nuns, it probably branched there because the original nurses were nuns. They denoted where you got educated, so this shape and that style and this stripe and all were significant. They meant you were either a new nurse, or you had a couple of years under your belt, or you graduated from this school. And so we did kind of wear them proudly, but they were a nuisance, and they were really a nuisance if they got dirty and you had to clean them and starch them and get them back in shape. Crazy stuff. So, but I would say nowadays, as a nursing student graduating, particularly in the pandemic, that you don't have to put on your scrubs and go to work in a hospital unless you want to, because there are a lot of opportunities for you in so many different areas. Informatics is a big one, and I did meet at a university hospital one time a nurse informatics specialist, and that would not be something I'm good at. One of the reasons I'm a little late today is I had trouble getting rid of some background pieces to broadcast today. So we called in the specialist and finally got going here. Anyway, I'll be here for about an hour, and we're the Travel Nurse Channel. We're a conduit for those who want to hire nurses and for nurses that are looking for their next best travel assignment and nursing career, nursing employer. So go to the Travel Nurse Channel. It's Travel Nurse, www.travelnursechannel.com, and just check it out and see if there's a vendor there that appeals to you. We have lots of connections with a variety of things that would appeal to a nurse. And vendors, we welcome you. Recruiters, we welcome you. Nurses, we welcome you. CNAs, LVNs, RNs, nurse practitioners, PAs, doctors. It's kind of there. It's just a conduit where you can see each other and stay connected, feel a place that is homey and cares about what's going on with our travel nurses. And we need you more and more. It's been a rough over a year now. It's been a rough year, and some of you have gotten sick. I hope you're well recovered. Many of you were the first ones to get vaccinated, and many of you did very, very well with that. I do know a few people that did react, and I don't know, this is not science, this is just my opinion. I wonder if those that had the reactions, that got their second dose or even their first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine, whether it was Moderna or a lot of my colleagues and those working in the hospital did get the other one, not the Moderna, the Pfizer, and didn't react, but a few did. And I wonder if that's because you have a stronger immune system, because what that vaccine is doing is entering your body and stimulating your immune system, gets out of your body, and then it's all you. And So be curious to know if that has anything to do with it. If your immune system's stronger than others. My daughter, I think, when she was younger, had a very strong immune system because she would get these terrible sore throats and fevers, and sometimes there would be like cold or flu symptoms, but often it was those two things, or sometimes just the fever and the lethargy. And I didn't always bring her to the doctor because her pediatrician was had seen her a couple of times when those episodes happened, either on day 1 or day 5 or whatever. Sometimes they go on for 7 or 8 days, and or by the time we could get her to the physician. And 9 times out of 10, she did not have strep. I think she did have a strep once. And so he told me she had a healthy immune system, and that unless she was very uncomfortable or the fever exceeded a certain, do you see all the white wisdom hairs I have? Holy moly, it's whiter every day. I'm gonna wash my hands because I touched my silly hair. Yeah, so I wonder about that with these vaccines. But at any rate, let's get on to the subject. So I mentioned one, informatics. And what did I write over here? I'm not sure. I was thinking a 6-letter word. A 6-letter word. Okay, don't do this, okay? I don't know why. Don't do this. Okay. That's a 6-letter word. Okay. Sometimes there's absolutely no control. And I do want to say, not just travel nurses, not just travel therapists and techs and so forth. It can be lonely out there. And you go and you have all these COVID patients and they're very, very ill. And, you know, maybe you came up against somebody that was pretty tired, a doctor or another nurse or somebody from one of the departments. And you weren't feeling the love. And there's nothing you can say because you are there to help and not make things worse. And so you don't want to be reactive. And then what do? You go back to your hotel room or your apartment and maybe have a glass of wine, but you want to avoid this. You want to try and get some exercise. You want to try and get some good sleep and some wholesome food and move on, because the next day could be a completely different day and hopefully a better day. But yeah, that was on my mind, that 6-letter word. That 6-letter word. And it doesn't help anyone because it really will create a whole bunch of physiological things that will make you more vulnerable and more could possibly make you sick. Will certainly not make you feel good to have too much stress. So I'm very, very conscious of what's going on out there because a lot of my colleagues are still in the thick of it. And I know our travel nurses are too. So hang in there. We love you, and self-care, okay? Okay, so what did I pull? I pulled some cards from a while ago about how to avoid some of that stress. And I want to get to those opportunities that are there for you. But this is kind of what happens to a travel nurse. Nobody seems to see you, and you want to be seen, and you want to be heard, and you want to be your best professional self. So sometimes if you provide what it is that helps you, it'll come back to you. And so I had jotted these things down. So I said, go ahead, tune into others. You know, be the sunshine in their life. Connect, reflect, develop, and master your communication with others, because that will always, always benefit you. You don't have to be a PhD. You don't have to be a master's, or some of you may not even have your BS. You may be working on that. You may not even have experience. You may be a newer nurse, but a younger newer nurse, or you may be someone who changed careers and became a nurse. You have something to offer, and you are there to help. And maybe people resent that you're making more than them. Maybe they brought you in at $4,500 a week or $5,500 a week or more because of the desperate need we need to take care of patients. A lot of hospitals in various places, Texas, Florida, South Dakota, North Dakota, all these places need nurses. All of these people have had their run-in with COVID, and you've made your sacrifices in order to travel and deal with the different things, the isolation and the difficulties and the homesickness and so forth. So these are choices. These are choices, people. So being on staff and or being a travel healthcare professional, those are choices. And I just heard a friend of my daughter's just being upset because of the whole situation in the teaching area. She's a student. She works in the classroom with the teacher, and she feels like the teacher's being unavailable, maybe lazy. And then she mentions what she's making versus what the teacher's making in comparison to what the I don't know what she's some kind of aide because she's working on her credentials. She's still a student, but it really doesn't matter what people make. It really matters that they're doing a good job and they're being a good team member. So yeah, take care of yourself. Don't say I can't stand that doctor, that nurse, that other traveler. You can think it, but try not to say it because that's not going to help. Okay, so what kind of jobs are there? I had looked up. Let's see if I can see what I looked up. Where are the 20 best? 20 best jobs. Here we go. Let's see if we can get this to pull up. LVNs, lots of jobs for licensed vocational, licensed practical nurses. Let's see. I see them in Washington. I see them in California. Let's see. There are hospital jobs. This is not the site I had. I really wanted to list some of the, let me get to my comments page because you may be asking me comments and I'm not responding. Okay. Okay, so Paul King is saying, from my point of view, nurse salaries are on the rise, so a career in nursing would be a wise choice. Yes, finally, that's a good thing. Yes, you're right. You're right. And I think most of us choose our careers. I think you have to have some interest in it. You've been inspired by somebody you've run into, a nurse, a caregiver. When I was about 12, I got really sick. I really had a bad ear infection. They wound up not doing surgery. It's interesting because both my brothers have had issues with their ears. As a matter of fact, my one brother is going to have surgery soon. Is today the day? I'll have to check. Yeah, broken eardrums. My one brother got really bad with, it's the only one in my family that had, of my siblings, that had the mumps, and that did a lot of damage to his ear. I remember the doctor letting me look, and it wasn't pink or red. It was like gray and ugly in there. It didn't look the way it should look when you look through an otoscope. So, yeah, so what am I talking about? Oh, the salaries. The salaries. Do you know when I had my first job back in 1977, I believe, I was thrilled to be making $9 and change an hour. That's what I made. Did I have benefits? Maybe, probably. So we've come a long way. Cost of living has changed quite a bit, but yeah, we are true professionals. We're getting our higher education, and so a nurse salary should move along with that because we can't function in our hospitals, in our home health, in our so many areas that we're going to find and talk about. I mentioned informatics because that was on my mind. That nurse amazed me. She had a talent for that, and she's working in a big university hospital and was quite the leader in that area. So let me get on here. I welcome your questions, and to give you an idea what kind of jobs are out there. I've actually talked about this before, but I thought I might talk about it because we are going to start talking to some of the nursing schools and how to approach that and what their requirements are and what they have to offer. And it's exciting for either a younger nurse coming out of high school seeking her career in nursing, also for those that have tried other careers and decided for whatever reason that nursing might be a better change for them. And I've seen that. There was a I think this gal was an engineer of some sort, and she switched careers and went into teaching, and she was a great teacher. She was my daughter. I liked her personally too. I remember we went to a theater show together. She was my daughter's, I believe, one of her 5th grade teachers. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe one of her 7th grade teachers. But she had a terrific, well-paying career in engineering, some kind of engineering, and switched to become a junior high teacher. Fabulous. Anyway, so maybe you've thought of this, maybe you haven't. Neonatal nursing, wonderful area of nursing, and many jobs there, and you work in intensive care units with the neonates and the high-risk infants and all the complications, and it's a very specialized area and an exciting open opportunity. So I am talking to new grads, I am talking to nurses that are kind of wondering, do I want to stay where I am? Do I want to make a change? Where are the jobs? That's one of them, neonatal nursing. Nurse midwife. There's still opportunities for nurse midwives. I love them. My friend was on that track, and she helped me with my first labor, which was a very, very long one. She was wonderful. Let's open this page and get some details on it all. Yeah. The nurse midwife. How would you become one? Nurse midwives can pursue several pathways to licensing. Prospective nurse midwives who already have their Bachelor in Science and RN license can enroll in a Master's of Science program or a doctorate for that doctorate degree. Listen to this. Some of the MSN programs will admit RNs without the bachelor. There is one here in San Diego. So you can actually earn that master's on this fast track. You wind up with your bachelor's and your MS at the end of that. And then you get your certified midwifery credential. So that's exciting. There's a board for that. And salaries are going to be over $100,000. So nice place to go. And I'm sure you'll have a loan you need to pay off, and travel nursing may be the answer for that. Clinical nursing. It's a type of RN, also master or doctorate nursing degrees for that, but you can choose to focus on something like pediatrics, geriatrics, emergency care, specific disease. You can be a diabetic clinical nurse. You can be a cardiovascular clinical nurse. What else do they say? Mental health, rehab, pain management, and so forth. I did a little bit of pain management because I did a lot of, in my career, I did a lot of, what do I say, per diem. And so there would be these opportunities, and many of them were in hospitals, and I just wondered why their own staff wouldn't want to float to that unit. So the pain management unit really was fabulous. And the doctor there, I had to say to him after I met him more than once, I said, you just must really, really love what you do, because he took care of trauma patients. He took care of patients with chronic pain. He took care of patients that, needed to recover a little bit before they could have their surgery. And it's just a wonderful area. So these clinical nurses are going to be making $90,000 to $100,000 as well. So that's another great opportunity for you. So what did we talk about? Neonatal, midwifery, clinical nurse, specialist, lots of pathways for that clinical nurse. How about, oh yeah, this is even in a smaller hospital, we had a nurse, an infection control and prevention nurse. They get a certificate from the Board of Infection Control and Epidemiology. Am I saying it right? Epidemiology. Yeah. Epidemiology. I don't know. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm butchering that word. But infection control and prevention. Imagine that area's got to be growing. I mean, we're faced with a pandemic. Now we're having additional strains. I know the infectious control doctors that I worked with over the years had a wealth of knowledge, and that would be fascinating. So these professionals in the infection control realm have filled a critical role during this time, and will continue to be a specialized need as we deal with this down the road. So what are they? You become it by pursuing the specialty. You get a certificate in it. Do you have the CIC credential? Requires an associate or a bachelor's degree in nursing and at least 2 years of experience. Okay, so that's not necessarily, you don't have to have the master's, but I'm sure it wouldn't hurt. But the salary would be more in the 70 and up range, 70,000 and up. School nurse. Yes, we need them. Yes, we do. And they are needed at the elementary level, the middle school level, the high school level. In the college and university level, there's usually a clinic, and nurses are needed there as well. So I know that because I staffed nurses, and I looked high and low for somebody to. There was a college in very southern California near the border, and it was just kind of an out of the way area. It was really hard to staff that. But they needed a nurse in their health science area, not their health science, in their health clinic area. And, people, we're just people, right? Some of us have chronic diseases. Some of us are, female, and we have those things to deal with, all kinds of things. And so, collecting, just doing admissions and health reviews on students coming in, and then being a resource for them. A lot of people go to school away from home, so they need that, or maybe it's cost effective for them to use the health clinic. So those school nurses are needed, elementary, middle, high, and college levels. So how do you become a school nurse? You need your RN licensure. You need your associate degree. You need the National Association of School Nurse. Most of the National Association for School Nurses usually will require a BSN at this point. Sometimes, if you have your associate, you have some experience, and you're on your pathway, you're enrolled and getting your BSN, sometimes that might help you get that specialty. And that is going to be, and those hours are going to be a little bit different. So maybe this would appeal to you. They're making about 50,000, but I'm sure that would go up based on your degree and what area you're working in and what state you're working in. Dialysis nurse, dear to my heart because I started my career there. Those are people that are cleaning your kidneys via your bloodstream. And a dialysis nurse needs her RN, either diploma, associate, or bachelor. You certainly can have a higher degree. And let's see, yeah, if you have a higher degree, you're going to move into a higher pay grade. So that is the dialysis nurse. I'm reading about treatment, advanced career opportunities, acquire the you can get a certified nephrology nurse degree or a certified dialysis nurse credential by the Nephrology Nursing Certification Committee. Wow, I didn't know that. Nephrology Nursing Certification Committee. Okay, so that is going to be more than $70,000. So the family nurse practitioner, public health nurse, I'm kind of going through. Well, here's some information about the informatics nurse. Many organizations, including hospitals, nursing homes, insurance agencies, public health agencies, many areas are going to be looking for the services of an informatics nurse. Okay, they manage healthcare data and communications. So important, particularly now, right? I mean, we're all on the computer. It just isn't the same world that it was when I started nursing in the 70s, 100 years ago. So these nurses are nursing specialists that have special training in computer science, information technology, nursing management, and nursing managed data integration among all the healthcare providers. So that's so important. It's an integrated, healthcare is an integrated field with many professionals. And the idea of informatics is to make us more efficient and to make us more informed and to improve. Ultimately, all we do, all the nursing we do is to improve patient care, right? And yeah. So how do you become a specialist? They typically enter the field earning a BSN degree and receiving their RN license. After they have their BSN, RNs interested in nursing informatics will earn a general MSN degree or an MSN health informatics. So that one or the other, right? MSN in health or MSN in that science degree, Masters of Nursing Science, or specifically MSN in health informatics. They may get a graduate degree in informatics science or computer science. It's not required by all employers. Obtaining specialized certifications in nursing informatics is through the American Nurse Credentialing Center. And that is going to be around 80,000 or more, I'm guessing. It's so important. It's really important for hospitals to maintain their accreditation and to continue to improve their patient care and to, get the information and the integrated information from the various disciplines in the hospital. So that's going to be really fascinating career. Not for everybody. I am like 99% sure I would not be good at that. But I really, the one and only informatics nurse that I met was impressive and was doing a fabulous job and for the hospital. And I was visiting her because I was at that time a nurse manager, a clinical manager, and her input was valuable when we were meeting with the department heads and the nursing leaders about bringing in more of our nurses, either as travelers or per diem, and what the needs were and how they evaluated those needs and how they had looked at what the results were in the past. And this was about 2016. So she was the bomb. She was the nursing informatics bomb. So I don't know if you know much about that, but that might be something that appeals to you. This is a great area too, and I'm not even sure how long it's been around. A while, I want to say 15 years or so, is the nurse anesthetist. The nurse anesthetist. Super valuable, absolutely wonderful. The one I know was a fabulous guy. It was military Navy nurse, and went on to become a nurse anesthetist. And, he was quite exceptional. And, oh, wait, let's see. Oh, dear. I thought I turned that phone off. Excuse me. I'm seeing somebody commenting. It's MD Moklasur. nursing job is always in demand as well as a novel profession, and so it would be a wise choice to pick it as a career. Absolutely. I so appreciate my nursing experiences, my nursing education, and I'm still enjoying it in my senior years. And now with, I wanted to give you at least 10, 12, there's 20 or 30 or new careers that didn't always exist back in the day. So nurse grads and other nurses that are thinking about a change, they are there. So let's keep going. Nurse anesthetists. These nurses do what you think an anesthesiologist do, and I'm sure there are some parameters where you might work with a nurse anesthetist and a nurse and a MD anesthesiologist. So I don't know what the parameters are. If they can do, take care of the same kind of surgeries and so forth. That's a question to ask. What they do surgeries and make all the adjustments and watch the vital signs and administer the medication. And so they work with patients of all ages, in surgical operations and emergency procedures. Prior to surgery, they record patient histories and provide information. So it's very similar to the anesthesiologist, the MD anesthesiologist, and I'm not sure if there are certain criteria where one is accepted and one is not, but it's very similar, and requires absolutely a BSN and then the MSN decree in the specialization of anesthesiology. They have a special certificate to practice. It is called the Certified Registered Nurse Anesthetist, and that credential requires over 3,000 hours of clinical experience and a passing score on the national administration. It's a high passing score to get it with the National Board of Certification and Recertification for Nurse Anesthetists. They have to apply for licensure through the certain authorities to get to be able to do prescriptive things, because they are working with some powerful medicines, and they are going to be making about 175,000 or more. These are going to vary from state to state, and I am only familiar with the United States, but that may be a career for people abroad as well. So I'm going to just click on a few here. A nurse educator, we've talked about that. We need our professors. The need for nurses is rising. There are waiting lists to get into nursing schools, and so that cycle is changing. More students, more teachers, more students, more teachers. So a nurse educator is going to make at least 80,000 or more. Nurse advocates, let me tell you about this one. Nurse researchers, absolutely. See, that's kind of new. That didn't exist when I was a babe. Psychiatric mental health nurse, another specialty. Trauma nurses. And travel nurses is on the list. Pediatric nurses, we talked about neonatal, geriatric nurse, acute care, so those are your critical care nurses, oncology nursing, and more. Let me go back. Which one did I want to see? Let's see what they say about the nurse advocate. A career as a nurse advocate. How about that? Okay, here we go. Touch, touch, touch. I'm a picker. I'm terrible. I wash my hands. You never know where I'm going, what I'm going to touch. But I did touch a face. I'm fully vaccinated, so I don't think I'm going to infect anybody, but let's keep those hands clean. Okay, the nurse advocate provides assessment, education, and representation for patients, coordinating between patients and their doctors. So they're right there. They review patient concerns and consult with doctors to ensure quality and cost-effective healthcare. Their roles consist of educating patients about their conditions, treatments, and available healthcare procedures, and representing patients by communicating their preferences and mediating conflicts with their doctors. Wow. So I'm going to start looking at some of the local hospitals and see what kind of positions and how many positions there are for nurse advocates. I'm thinking what a great team member that would be, because you're busy being the, the pre-op nurse or the post-surgical nurse or the, the med-surg nurse or the ICU nurse, and to really delve in to do this additional assessment and represent the patient between you, the patient, and the doctor. Very important. I mean, there's a limited amount of time. You've got to do those critical bedside things, So I wonder how prevalent, how many nurse advocate jobs there are, because it sounds like, ooh, it's tweaking my interest. I'm all about advocacy. So how you become a nurse advocate is that you begin your training by earning your BSN and successfully passing the RN licensure exams. While working as an RN, prospective nurse advocates should take advantage of continuing education and courses and work experience that expose them to the advocacy methods. We could do a whole thing on this, on nurse advocacy. Although nursing advocacy certifications do not currently exist, organizations such as the Patient Advocate Certification Board offer credentials for healthcare professionals working in this area. So, the Patient Advocate Certification Board. Salaries are $71,700 and up. That's really interesting. And let's just peek at nurse researchers too, because we've got a little time. We started late. I'm going to give you about 6 more minutes because I've got to get going. The nurse researcher is a highly specialized professional. They conduct scientific studies, analyze data, report their findings about illness and improving healthcare. I kind of did something like this, and it was just I was working for an agency, and they needed nurses, and I said, sure, whatever they need. And we were involved in a study. So patients were coming in on a regular basis, and there was a lot of logging of data and so forth. And it was for, I don't know if it was for a medical company or whatever. But I didn't know I was a nurse researcher. I was just part of a group that were taking care of patients and logging information. They were all ambulatory, and I can't remember now, it was so long ago, if they had similar disease processes or not. But at any rate, the nurse researcher will conduct scientific studies, analyze data, report their findings about illnesses and improving healthcare. They work in a variety of settings, including hospitals, research laboratories. That's where I was. They do not provide direct nursing care to patients. They perform important healthcare functions, focusing on topics that impact the field of nursing and save people's lives. Well, I was hands-on with the patients. You become one by completing your bachelor's and your master's and have your RN license. The positions require, some of the positions, a growing number are requiring the doctorate level. Nurse researchers do not need a specialized certification. They can boost their career potential by earning the Certified Clinical Research Professional Certificate through the Society for Clinical Research Associates. They can pursue other research credentials administered through the Association of Clinical Research Professionals. Wow, 81,500. Let me see. I'll tell you who we're getting a lot of this from. There's over 20 of them here. Who did this study? Who is the resource here that pulled this all together? Oh, it's the Nurse Journal. You can find them at nursejournal.org. That's NURSE, journal, JOURNAL.org, and check articles that they have. All kinds of nursing degrees, nursing education, nursing schools by state. They have lots of information for programs. And this was published March 17th, 2021. So pretty recent. And it was written by not a nurse, but reviewed by an MSN RNBC. All those little tags after the name. So folks, we are the Travel Nurse Channel. We are here for travel nurses, travel therapists, travel techs, all the healthcare professionals that travel. Nursing is a big group, and I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse for most of my life, it seems, and have worked with travel nurses. I've done a lot of per diem nursing, short and long-term assignments. I haven't actually traveled, but I think it's wonderful, and the nurses that I know that travel have had really terrific experiences. Not every single experience is terrific, hence I was a clinical manager and had to put out some fires, but it's very special and has many opportunities. And with the nursing, as Paul said, he wrote in today, he said, from his point of view, nursing salaries are on the rise, so career in nursing would be a wise one. MD Moklasur said it's a job that's always in demand, and a noble profession, and a wise choice as a pick. So if you're thinking about it, I concur. If you think it's just a hospital job where you wear scrubs, no. We talked about more than 10 different career specialties, some requiring higher degrees, some not. So many opportunities. We started off in informatics, but we talked about a nurse anesthetist, and we talked about a dialysis nurse, and we talked about research nurses, which I didn't even realize you can get certified in, midwifery. What else do we have? The infection control nurse, the prevention nurse, the practitioners, the public health nurse. We didn't even talk about that. Oh, the nursing educators. Huge need. And my good friend I'm going to meet shortly is one of those nursing educators. A fabulous one. Very creative one. Very smart one. And all right, folks, it's great to see you. I hope to have some guests for you, because I really want to focus on what it takes to become a nurse, and what the schools down here in Southern California, there's some great schools, and what they can share. I'd love to talk to nurse recruiters. I'd love to talk to anybody from the travel company that has anything to do. We had a financial planner on. That was really informative. He's a great guy. So check our archives. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, and we're here for you. If you want to call anytime. I can set up a meeting with you. It doesn't have to be on my schedule. We can broadcast anytime that's convenient for you. Usually I'm here Tuesdays from 10 to 11. Today happens to be Wednesday, and it's closer to 11:30 now, so we're running a little late. But call me, 800-737-6518, or email Rita, R-I-T-A, at travelnursechannel.com. And I thank you for tuning in. I'm going to give you the commercial because it's so cute. Why is that mouse not working? All right, folks, take care. I'll see you soon.
Travel nursing can bring you to places you've never been before. Tell us your story.